And welcome back to Capitol Review. This week, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was in Washington, D.C., and he met with President Donald Trump and congressional leaders. Well, during a joint news conference at the White House, Trump proposed that the United States should take over the Gaza Strip. He said that he would redevelop the area and change it to the Middle Eastern Riviera.
I do see a long-term ownership position, and I see it bringing great stability to that part of the Middle East and maybe the entire Middle East. And everybody I've spoken to, this was not a decision made lightly. Everybody I've spoken to loves the idea of the United States owning that piece of land, developing and creating thousands of jobs with something that will be magnificent in a really magnificent area that nobody would know. Nobody can look because all they see is death and destruction and rubble and demolished buildings falling all over. It's just a terrible.
Returning to Capitol Review is the Hill's Sarakshi. She's the Director of Audience Development and Head of Social Media there. Sarakshi, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
Sarakshi, how are lawmakers on Capitol Hill responding to the president's comment?
That's right. What we're hearing from Republican senators essentially on the president's proposal to turn Gaza into the Riviera of the Middle East is gaining little traction on Capitol Hill. They predict that it really won't go anywhere, just like his plans to acquire Greenland as well as to seize control of the Panama Canal. Now, we heard from some of the Republican senators. We heard from Senator Rand Paul, who said that, it's a dumb idea to have U.S. troops on the ground in Gaza, and it's the last place that he would send U.S. troops and he won't support it. We heard from Lindsey Graham, who is one of the president's closest allies, who said that a U.S.-led attempt to really remove Palestinians from Gaza would be very problematic. So what we're hearing from them essentially is that this idea as of now is dead in the water, but the president has doubled down. He has said that he doesn't envision U.S. troops being on the ground in Gaza, but he said that, he really wants to turn it into a place where, in his opinion, people can live and rebuild it as well.
Sarakshi, what are other leaders around the world saying?
Now, what we've heard really from Arab leaders like, the Egyptians, like the Jordanians, like the Saudis, they've said that they will not support the idea of removing Palestinians from Gaza. Now, one of the key tenets of, this peace deal that President Trump is trying to get across the finish line is that there's a normalization of relationship between Israel and Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia has come out and said that this normalization would not happen unless there is guarantees for Palestinians to have self-determination and their own state. So really, this idea is not gaining any ground with with the Arab leaders right now around the world. We've also heard from the Egyptians, who said that they categorically do not support the idea. We know that Jordan's King Abdullah is coming to meet with President Trump next week at the White House, early next week, and this topic is sure to be a topic of discussion and come up in their meeting as well.
Sarakshi, how realistic is this for the United States?
Well, the president has floated this idea. He's doubled down on this idea. He is, 100% behind his idea. But realistically, sending troops to stabilize Gaza is something that he said that he would do what is necessary when asked about it. But realistically speaking, there is little support from senators, Republican senators, who back the president on Capitol Hill to really follow through with this idea. The House lawmakers, Republicans, have said that this is a out-of-the-box idea, and they praise the president for coming up with a unique solution and thinking outside of the box. But realistically, Republican senators are much more bullish on this idea of the U.S. taking over control of the Gaza Strip.
Sarakshi, thank you so very much for joining us.